The message came through at 300 hours and was the only one awake to hear it. She sat in the communications bay of the exploration vessel Pathfinder, staring at the screen with tired eyes. The coffee in her mug had gone cold an hour ago. Night shifts on Titan Station were always quiet. Most of the time, she listened to empty static or logged routine messages from Earth. Nothing exciting ever happened. Until now. The signal was weak, breaking up every few seconds. It was not in any Earth language. The computer was trying to translate it, but the process was slow. Leaned forward, adjusting the frequency. The voice that came through sounded desperate, almost pleading. Anyone who can hear this message, we are the people, our worlds are dying, we need help, please. His hands moved quickly across the controls. She recorded the message and boosted the signal. The voice continued, growing clearer. The swarm has taken 12 of our colonies. They consume everything. Our fleets cannot stop them. We are sending this message to all unexplored sectors. If there are warriors among you, if there are any who can fight, please help us. We offer all we have. We are dying. The message repeated 3 times, then the signal died. Sat in silence for a moment. Her heart was beating fast. This was first contact. This was aliens asking for help. This was everything humanity had dreamed about since they first reached the stars. She grabbed her communicator. "Captain, please come to the communications bay. It's urgent." 10 minutes later, Captain arrived, still pulling on his uniform jacket. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and calm hands. Behind him came Wu, the ship's pilot, and Sung, the engineer. Both looked half asleep but alert. "What is it?" asked. "Played the message." The room went completely silent as they listened. When it finished, Wu let out a low whistle. Sung just stared at the screen. "Play it again," said quietly. They listened 3 more times. "It's real," Sung finally said. "The signal patterns, the transmission method. This is not human technology. This is actually from aliens." "Aliens who are losing a war," Wu added, rubbing his face. "Aliens who are desperate enough to call for help from species they have never met." Nodded slowly. "Computer, can you locate the source?" The computer beeped. "Source located. Distance approximately 47 light-years. Direction, Sector 7 Alpha, unexplored region." 47 light-years, Wu said. "That's 2 weeks in hyperspace, maybe 3. "We should report this to Earth Command," Sung said. "This is way above our authority level. By the time we report it and wait for approval, these might be extinct," replied. He looked at the star map on the screen, his expression thoughtful. "The message said they sent this to all unexplored sectors. That means they are calling out blindly, hoping anyone will answer. And if we answer, we reveal humanity's existence to the galaxy," said. "Earth Command has protocols for first contact. We are supposed to observe, report, and wait for diplomatic teams. Protocols written by people who never imagined we would receive a distress call," said. He turned to look at his crew. "What do you think?" Wu spoke first. "If someone called Earth for help and aliens just ignored us because of protocols, I would be angry. These people are dying. They asked for help." "We are an exploration vessel, not a warship," Sung pointed out. "We have basic weapons, but nothing designed for real combat. What can we actually do against this swarm?" "We won't know until we get there," said. "But we can at least answer the message. We can at least let them know someone heard them." Looked at the captain. "If we do this, Earth Command might court-martial us. We would be breaking direct orders about unauthorized contact." "I know," said. "I am not ordering anyone to come. This decision is mine. I will take full responsibility. Anyone who wants to stay here can transfer to the Titan station until I return." The crew looked at each other. Wu smiled. "You really think we would let you go alone? I am the only one who can fly this ship properly." "And I am the only one who can keep the engines running," Sung added. You would break down halfway there. I am coming too, said firmly. Someone needs to handle communications. Besides, this is history. I want to be part of it. Looked at them for a long moment, then nodded. Wake up. Tell her to prepare the medical bay for unknown biological situations. Then prepare the ship for long-range hyperspace jump. What about the rest of the crew? Wu asked. Give them the choice. Anyone who wants to stay behind can. Anyone who wants to come can come. But make sure they understand what we are doing. 2 hours later, the Pathfinder was ready to leave. Of the 37 crew members, 35 chose to come. Only 2 stayed behind, and both were because of family situations. Stood on the bridge looking at the star map. The course was plotted. The engines were charging. In a few minutes they would make the jump to hyperspace. Captain said from the communications station, I sent a response to the signal. I told them help is coming. Good said, did they reply? Not yet. The signal takes time to travel that far. We might arrive before they receive our message. Sung's voice came through from the engine room. Hyperspace drive ready. We can jump on your command. Took a deep breath. This was it. This was the moment that would change everything. Humanity was about to reveal itself to the galaxy. They were about to meet aliens. They were about to enter a war. All hands prepare for hyperspace jump, announced over the ship-wide intercom. We are going to help some people who need it. That is what we do. That is what humans do. He looked at Wu. Take us there. Wu's hands moved across the controls, jumping in 3, 2, 1. The Pathfinder flashed and disappeared from normal space, beginning its journey to the... In the communications bay, watched the stars blur into lines of light. She wondered what they would find when they arrived. She wondered what these looked like. She wondered if humanity was making the biggest mistake in its history or the bravest choice. The distress call still echoed in her mind. If there are warriors among you, please help us. Smiled slightly. They had asked for warriors. They were about to get humans. She had a feeling that was going to be very different from what the aliens expected. The Pathfinder raced through hyperspace, carrying the first humans to answer an alien call for help. Behind them, Titan Station continued its routine operations, unaware that history had just changed forever. Ahead of them, the people waited, desperate and dying, not knowing that help was finally coming. Help from a... The Pathfinder dropped out of hyperspace near a beautiful blue and green planet, immediately started scanning for signals. Within seconds, her screen lit up with dozens of transmissions. Multiple ships in orbit, Wu reported from the pilot station. Some are military vessels, some look like cargo ships, and, Captain, some of those ships are badly damaged. Studied the tactical display. Several of the orbital stations showed signs of recent combat. Debris floated in scattered clouds around the planet. Broadcast our friendly intentions on all frequencies. Already doing it, said. Her fingers moved quickly across her controls. Sending identification codes, medical symbols, everything I can think of to show we are not hostile. A response came almost immediately. The voice sounded strange, like bells chiming together. The computer worked to translate. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. This is Defense Command. You are entering a war zone. State your purpose. Looked at, he nodded. She opened the channel. Defense Command, this is the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We received your distress call. We have come to help. There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, sounding confused and hopeful at the same time. Earth. We do not have Earth in our star charts. You actually came. Someone actually answered. Yes, said simply. Where can we land? Another pause. Please proceed to coordinates we are sending now. Ambassador will meet you, and thank you for coming. The Pathfinder descended through the atmosphere. As they got closer to the surface, the crew could see the planet more clearly. It was beautiful with vast forests and crystal blue oceans. but they also saw the scars. There were empty spaces where cities should have been, dark burn marks on the land, signs of destruction. They landed at a military base. As the ship's doors opened, let a small team out. With him were Wu, Sung, and the ship's doctor. The first thing noticed was that the air felt thin. His breathing adjusted automatically, but he could tell the oxygen level was lower than Earth normal. The gravity felt lighter too. Each step wanted to bounce. Then he saw They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed almost translucent. Their eyes were large and dark. They moved gracefully, almost floating. They wore simple robes made of flowing fabric. One of them stepped forward. "I am Ambassador. You are the ones who answered our call." Bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "I am Captain. This is my crew. We came as fast as we could." Looked at them with wonder. "You are solid, dense. Is that natural for your species?" "Yes," said, not understanding why that would be strange. "Fascinating," said. "Please come. We have much to discuss." They followed into a building. The ceilings were very high and the hallways were wide. Everything seemed oversized to the humans. As they walked, Sung accidentally bumped into a support column. The entire structure shook. Several jumped back in alarm. Sung froze. "Sorry, I am really sorry." Stared at the column. You barely touched it. How strong are you?" "This is normal for us," Sung said, confused. They continued walking, but now they kept a careful distance from the humans. In the briefing room, showed them images of the swarm. They were horrible creatures, insect-like but massive. They traveled in enormous bioships that looked like they were grown rather than built. "They appeared 6 months ago," explained. "They consume everything, plants, animals, buildings, even the soil. They leave nothing behind but dead rock. We have lost 12 colonies. Billions of are dead or missing." Leaned forward to study the images. Do they have any weaknesses? What have you tried?" "We have tried everything," said, and there was deep sadness in their voice. "Energy weapons barely slow them. Explosives kill a few, but thousands more replace them. They adapt to our tactics within hours. Our soldiers fight bravely, but—" "But what?" asked. Looked down. "We are not warriors, Captain. The people have not fought a war in 3,000 years. We are peaceful. We are scholars, artists, farmers. We do not know how to fight creatures like this." "What about other species in the galaxy?" Wu asked. "Didn't any of them offer to help?" "The galaxy is very old and very tired," said. "Most species ignored our call. A few sent thoughts and prayers. Only you actually came." Felt anger rise in her chest. These gentle people were dying and no one helped them. "Then we will do what we can." "But you are only one ship," said gently. "And you are, forgive me, but you seem very small in number. How can you possibly help?" Before could answer, alarms started blaring. A soldier rushed into the room, speaking rapidly in their own language. His face showed fear. "What is it?" demanded. A supply transport crashed just outside the base. It was carrying support beams for our defense walls. We need to clear the wreckage, but the beams are too heavy. It will take hours to bring lifting equipment. "How heavy?" Sung asked. Check the data pad. Each beam weighs approximately 800 kilograms. 4 of our soldiers are needed to move one beam safely. Sung stood up. "Show me." They went outside to the crash site. A large transport vehicle had tipped over, spilling massive metal beams across the ground. A dozen soldiers were trying to lift one beam, struggling with all their strength. Sung walked over, bent down, and lifted the beam by himself. He carried it 20 meters and set it down carefully. Then he went back for another one. The just stared. Wu joined him, and together they cleared the entire crash site in 15 minutes. The soldiers, who had been preparing for hours of work, stood in shocked silence. Looked at with wide eyes. "What are you?" "We are humans," said simply. "Where do you come from? What kind of world produces such strength? Pulled up Earth's data on her portable display. This is our planet. Looked at the information. Their face changed, going from confusion to disbelief to horror. This is impossible. Gravity of 1G, that is higher than most species can survive. Oxygen at 21%, that would be toxic to many races. Temperature ranges from below freezing to extreme heat. Regular geological disasters, predators everywhere. It is home, said with a shrug. Touched the display with a shaking hand. This is a Class 12. Only the most dangerous planets are classified this high. How did your species evolve on such a world? How did you survive? Met the ambassador's eyes. We had no choice. We adapted or we died. For millions of years, everything on our planet tried to kill us. Whether animals, diseases, even other humans. We learned to be strong. We learned to heal fast. We learned to never give up. Whispered, we asked for help and answered. More alarms blared. A new message came through. An officer ran up to, speaking urgently. Translated for the humans. A scout group has been detected entering this star system. They will be here in 3 days. Then we have 3 days to prepare, said calmly. You do not understand, said desperately. Even a scout group has thousands of. Our defenses cannot hold them. We will have to evacuate this planet. No, said firmly. You called for help. We are here. We will not let you lose another world. But how can 5 of you stop thousands of them? Smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator. You are about to learn what humans can do when someone needs protecting. Looked at the captain, then at the other humans. Sung was still casually moving beams that should require 4, was examining medical equipment with interest. Wu and were already discussing defensive strategies. What have we brought here? Whispered to themselves. Heard it, you brought humans. That is exactly what you needed. Training began the next morning. Had arranged for the humans to work with the defense forces. What happened next shocked everyone. Wu decided to demonstrate basic human fitness. He asked the soldiers to join him for a morning run. The base commander assigned 20 of their best soldiers. We will run 10 kilometers, Wu explained. Nice and easy pace, just a warm-up. The soldiers looked at each other nervously but agreed. They started together, jogging along a path around the base. After 500 meters, the first soldier collapsed, gasping for air. Then another. Then another. By 1 kilometer, all 20 soldiers had stopped, unable to continue. They lay on the ground, breathing hard, their bodies shaking. Wu had barely broken a sweat. He looked back in surprise. Are you okay? Did I go too fast? The base commander, who had been watching, spoke quietly. That is the fastest and longest our soldiers have ever run. You are not even tired. This is normal for humans, Wu said. On Earth, people run marathons for fun. That is over 40 kilometers. The commander just stared at him. Spent the day in the medical facility. She wanted to understand biology. What she learned worried her. Show me a wounded soldier, she asked. They brought her to a who had been injured 2 days ago. A small cut on their arm, maybe 2 centimeters long. It was still bleeding slightly, and the soldier looked weak. This wound is 2 days old, asked, checking her translator. Yes, the doctor said. We have used all our medical techniques, but the bleeding will not fully stop. The patient needs another 3 days of treatment. Was shocked. On a human, this wound would have stopped bleeding in 10 minutes. It would be fully healed in a week. Your species heals that fast, the doctor seemed amazed. How is that possible? Our blood clots quickly, our skin regrows, our bodies are designed to repair damage. Looked at the anatomy charts. You have no redundant organs. If your primary heart stops, you die. Humans have backup systems for almost everything. Because of the doctor said quietly, you needed to survive terrible injuries. Yes, said, she thought about Earth, about all the ways humans could get hurt and still survive. We are very hard to kill. In the afternoon, Sung was helping repair defensive equipment when an accident happened. A storage tank ruptured, releasing a cloud of yellow gas. The alarm sounded immediately. "Chemical leak," someone shouted. "Everyone evacuate." 3 soldiers who were close to the leak collapsed instantly. Others ran away, coughing and choking. Sung stood in the middle of the gas cloud, confused. "Is this supposed to be dangerous?" he called out. Emergency crews in protective suits rushed to rescue the fallen. They stared at Sung, who was standing in the toxic gas without any protection. "Get out of there," one of them shouted through their suit speaker. "It just smells bad," Sung said. He walked out of the cloud, rubbing his eyes. "Kind of like ammonia. Makes my eyes water a bit." The emergency crew tested Sung's vital signs. He was completely fine. The gas that had killed 3 was just mildly irritating to a human. By evening, news of the humans had spread across the base. Soldiers watched them with a mixture of awe and fear. Ambassador called a meeting with the base's command staff and invited the humans. 2 new aliens had arrived. One was named, a reptilian creature with scales and sharp eyes. The other was called 17, an insect-like being with multiple arms and clicking mandibles. Both were from the Galactic Council, sent to observe the situation. "We have been studying your species," said, their voice hissing slightly. "The data is disturbing. You come from a world that should not support intelligent life, yet you are the most physically capable species we have ever encountered." "We are just humans," said calmly. "Just humans," 17 repeated, their translator making clicking sounds. "Let me share what we learned today. You can run 50 times longer than the average galactic citizen. You can survive injuries that would kill most species. You can process toxins that would be instantly fatal to others. You can function in pain that would leave others unconscious. You form aggressive pack bonds, even with alien species. You forgot that we can eat almost anything," added. "Tried some food today. It tasted terrible, but she was fine." "That food would have poisoned most species," said quietly. "It contains compounds that are toxic to 90% of known biology." "It just gave me a stomach ache," said with a shrug. Leaned forward. "Tell us about Earth. What created you?" Thought for a moment. "Earth is a planet where everything is trying to kill you. When humans were young, we had predators hunting us. Big cats, bears, wolves, we were prey. So we learned to run far, to work in groups, to use tools. Then we had diseases," continued. "Plagues that killed millions. Our immune systems had to become very strong. We developed resistance to thousands of different illnesses." "We had wars," Wu said. "Humans fought each other for resources, for territory, for ideas. We learned tactics, strategy, how to fight smart." "And we had natural disasters," Sung added. "Earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, hurricanes. Our planet was violent. We learned to adapt, to rebuild, to never give up." The room was silent. Finally spoke. "Every species has challenges, but most species had 1 or 2 major threats. You had everything all at once, for millions of years." "That is what it does," said. "It makes you strong or it makes you extinct. We chose to be strong." A young soldier named had been standing quietly in the corner. Now they spoke up, their voice shaking. "When we sent the distress call, we hoped for warriors, soldiers from some military species. We did not expect this." Walked over to, the flinched slightly but moved slowly, carefully. "We are not professional soldiers. Wu is a pilot. Sung is an engineer. I am a communications officer, is a doctor, is a ship captain. We are just regular people." "Regular people who can do impossible things," said. "On Earth this is not impossible," said gently. "This is normal. Every human can do what we do. We have 7 billion people on our planet. All of them are like us." The room went very quiet at that. 7 billion. The implications were staggering. Broke the silence. "The swarm will arrive tomorrow. Our long-range sensors detected them entering the outer system. What do we do? Stood up and walked to the tactical display. He studied the movements, the base defenses, the terrain. You have been fighting them the way the galaxy fights, with careful tactics, defensive positions, trying to minimize losses. Yes, the commander said, that is how civilized species fight. We are not going to fight civilized, said. His voice was hard now like iron. We are going to fight the way fight, aggressive, unpredictable, using every advantage we have. But there are only 5 of you, 17 said, and thousands of them. Then we will not fight them head-on, said. Humans learned long ago that strength is not everything. Speed matters, intelligence matters, creativity matters. He looked at his crew. We need to think of something they have never seen before, something that will shock them. Wu smiled. I have an idea. It is crazy, but it might work. Crazy is good, Sung said. Crazy is what humans do best. Pulled up medical data on the. I have been analyzing their biology. They have weaknesses. We just need to exploit them. Was already working on communication strategies. I can jam their coordination signals, make them fight blind. Looked at his team, then at the aliens watching them. The swarm thinks they are the apex predators. They have never encountered. They are about to learn what real predators look like. Ambassador felt a chill run through their body. They realized something important. They had called for help, hoping someone would save them. Instead, they had awakened something terrifying. They had brought humans to war. And humans, raised on a trained by millions of years of survival, did not fight to win. They fought to ensure their enemy never threatened anyone again. The swarm was coming. But something worse was waiting for them. The swarm arrived at dawn. Their bioships darkened the sky, massive organic vessels that pulsed with unnatural life. Sensors counted over 3,000 individual warriors in the first wave, with more coming behind. On the base, soldiers prepared to evacuate. They had seen this before. They would land, overwhelm the defenses, and consume everything. Running was the only option. But the humans were not running. Stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder watching the approach. His crew was at their stations. They had spent all night preparing. Now it was time. Status on the signal jammer, asked. Ready, Captain. I have identified their coordination frequency. When I activate this, they will lose all communication with each other. Wu engine status. Engines at maximum power. I have plotted the course you requested. Wu's hands were steady on the controls. It is insane, but it will work. Sung weapons. All modified according to the plan. We are using every chemical compound the said was dangerous. What is toxic to them should be even worse for the medical bay. Ready for casualties. I also prepared something special based on my analysis of biology. If we can get close enough to deploy it, the results should be interesting. Looked at his crew. These were not soldiers. They were explorers, scientists, engineers, but they were human, and humans knew how to fight. Remember, said, we do not need to kill all of them. We just need to hurt them so badly they never come back. Show them what happens when they attack someone under human protection. The command center was in chaos. Alarms blared as bioships entered the atmosphere. Commander watched the tactical display with despair. All ships begin evacuation procedures, ordered. We cannot hold them. Then something impossible happened. The Pathfinder launched from the base, accelerating straight up toward the fleet. A single human ship, flying directly into thousands of enemies. What are they doing? The reptilian observer demanded. That is suicide. But the Pathfinder was not attacking normally. Wu piloted the ship in ways that should have been impossible. He spun, dove, and twisted through the formation at speeds that generated 4 gravities of acceleration. The watching from the ground would have been crushed by such forces. The humans barely noticed. Jammer active, called out. Immediately, the swarm's coordinated movement fell apart. The bioships started colliding with each other, confused without their hive commands. Weapons active. Sung released clouds of modified chemicals into the formation. These were compounds that considered extremely hazardous. Ammonia-based acids, chlorine gas, other substances that humans could handle in protective gear but were devastating to most alien biology. The bioships began to burn and dissolve. Their outer hulls are damaged, reported from her scanner station. The chemicals are eating through their organic armor. Captain, we have an opening. Wu, take us into that bioship, pointed at the largest vessel. Going in. Wu pushed the engines to maximum. The Pathfinder smashed through the weakened hull of the bioship and landed inside, in a massive internal chamber. The team grabbed their gear and ran out. They wore protective suits, carried weapons loaded with more toxic chemicals, and moved fast. The interior of the bioship was hot, over 45 degrees Celsius, with an atmosphere of methane and nitrogen. Temperature is uncomfortable, Sung reported, checking his suit readouts, but survivable. For though this environment would have been instantly fatal, for humans from it was just really unpleasant. Warriors came at them from all directions. They were horrible creatures, insect-like with multiple arms and snapping jaws. Each one was over 2 meters tall and built for killing. And his team fought with a ferocity that shocked the watching aliens. They moved together like a pack, covering each other, using their superior endurance and strength. Sung used a chemical sprayer that melted through armor, through explosives that released concentrated acids, deployed her special weapon, containers of Earth bacteria. They had never encountered Earth pathogens. Their immune systems had no defense. Within minutes, the bacteria began spreading through the bioship's organic systems, causing infections and system failures. Keep moving, ordered. Find the central nervous system. They fought through corridors of living tissue, destroying everything in their path. Warriors tried to stop them, but the humans kept coming. Even when injured, they continued fighting. The instinct to survive pushed them forward. The young soldier watched from the base with horror and awe. They are hurt. Why do they not stop? Why do they keep fighting? Answered quietly, because they are. Pain does not stop them. Fear does not stop them. Only death stops them, and even then not easily. Deep in the bioship, the team found what they were looking for. A massive chamber filled with pulsing organic tissue, the brain of the entire vessel. This is where the hive mind connected. Sung set the charges, ordered. Sung placed devices throughout the chamber. These were not normal explosives. They were thermobaric weapons designed to create extreme heat and pressure. They had been horrified when they learned humans used such things. The weapons were considered too brutal, too destructive, almost criminal by galactic standards. But humans were not fighting by galactic standards. Charges set, we have 2 minutes to get out. The team ran back through the bioship. Warriors tried to stop them, but the humans were faster, stronger, more determined. They fought their way back to the Pathfinder, bloody and exhausted but victorious. Go, 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 shouted as they sealed the ship. Wu launched immediately, flying out of the bioship just as the charges detonated. The explosion was massive. The thermobaric weapons created a fireball inside the bioship that consumed everything. The heat was so intense that the entire vessel began to break apart. But worse, the explosion sent a shockwave through the neural network. Because the bioships were connected through their hive mind, the death of one affected all of them. The other bioships screamed in pain, their movements becoming erratic. Hit them again, ordered. Do not give them time to recover. The Pathfinder attacked another bioship, then another. Each time they used the same tactics: chemical weapons, boarding actions, thermobaric explosives. Each time they died in ways they had never experienced before. The humans did not fight with honor or mercy. They fought to win. They exploited every weakness, used every dirty trick, showed no hesitation. This was combat, and it was terrifying. On the ground, the forces watched in disbelief as the swarm began to retreat. The massive bioships that had seemed invincible were burning, breaking apart, fleeing into space. "They are running," whispered. "The swarm is retreating. I have never seen this before." "5 humans," 17 said, their voice filled with something between respect and fear. "5 humans defeated 3,000. The Pathfinder landed back at the base. The crew emerged from their ship. They were covered in burns, cuts, and bruises. Their suits were torn and stained. They looked exhausted. But they were alive, and they had won. Walked slowly toward where and the others waited. Every step looked painful. He stopped in front of the ambassador and gave a tired smile. "They will not bother you again," said. "We made sure they understood what happens when they attack someone humans care about." Looked at the injured humans. "You are hurt. You need medical attention." "We will heal," said, pressing a hand against her side where she had been cut. "Humans always heal." "You did something no species in the galaxy thought possible," said, their voice shaking with emotion. "You stopped the swarm." "We protected our friends," said simply. "That is what humans do." The word friends hit hard. The humans had known them for only 3 days, yet they had fought, bled, and nearly died for them. This was the way. Form bonds quickly, protect those bonds fiercely. As medics rushed to help the injured humans, and 17 looked at each other. Both were thinking the same thing. The galaxy had just learned a terrifying lesson. We're not just physically superior. They were also loyal, creative, and absolutely ruthless when protecting others. And somewhere on a small blue planet called Earth, there were 7 billion more of them. 6 months had passed since the battle. The galaxy had changed. Captain stood in the Galactic Council chambers, a massive structure orbiting a neutral star. Around him were representatives from over 200 species. All of them were staring at him. He was the first human to ever stand in this place. "The Council recognizes Ambassador of Earth," the Council speaker announced. The speaker was an ancient being, so old that no one remembered what species they originally were. Stepped forward. He wore a formal uniform now, not the casual exploration gear from the Pathfinder. Behind him, in observation seats, sat Wu, Sung, and Earth Command had promoted all of them, then sent them here to represent humanity. "Thank you," Council Speaker said. "It is an honor to address this assembly." "Let us speak plainly," said a delegate from the species, a floating jellyfish-like creature. "Your presence here is controversial. Many species fear Earth. They fear humans." "We came to help said calmly. "We did nothing wrong." "You come from a class 12, another delegate said. This one was crystalline, refracting light as they spoke. "Your species is physically dangerous. You use weapons we consider immoral. You fight with brutality we have not seen in 10,000 years." "We fight to protect," replied. "They asked for help, no one else answered, we did." Ambassador stood up. They had recovered in the months since the battle. Their world was being rebuilt. "I must speak on behalf of Earth. Yes, humans are dangerous. Yes, they are strong and fierce. But they are also loyal beyond reason. They saved us when no one else would." "That loyalty makes them more dangerous, not less," the delegate argued. "They form bonds quickly. They will fight for those they consider friends. This is unpredictable behavior." The reptilian observer rose to speak. "I studied the humans during the battle. I can confirm everything said about them is true. They are apex predators from us, but I also observed something else. They could have taken control of space. They had the power. They chose not to. They helped, then they stepped back." "What guarantee do we have they will remain peaceful?" another delegate asked. "What guarantee did they have when they answered the distress call?" shot back. "They risked everything for people they had never met. That is character. That is honor." The debate continued for hours. Some delegates wanted to isolate Earth, to forbid human ships from leaving their system. Others wanted to study humans, to learn their secrets. A few wanted to make alliances. Finally, 17, the observer, spoke up. This debate is pointless. We can isolate them or accept them, but we cannot erase what happened. The swarm, which has terrorized this sector for decades, was defeated by 5 humans. 5. The chamber went silent. If we make humans our enemies, 17 continued, then we face 7 billion. I do not think the galaxy would survive that, so I propose we make them our allies instead. More debate, more arguments. Finally, a vote was called. Earth was officially recognized, but with conditions. Human ships would be monitored. Human colonies would be limited. Humans would be classified as an apex predator species with special protocols. Listen to all of it, his face neutral. When the vote finished, he spoke again. The Council fears us. I understand that. We are different. We are dangerous, but let me be very clear about something. His voice was firm now. Humans do not conquer, we protect, we explore, we learn. Yes, we can fight, but we would rather be friends. And if we cannot be friends, the delegate asked. Then we will leave you alone, said. But if you ever need help, really need help the way they did, we will answer. That is who we are. The council speaker studied for a long moment. You speak with great confidence for someone representing a species that just revealed itself to the galaxy. I speak with confidence because I know my people, replied. We survived on we will survive in the galaxy too. After the formal session ended, found in one of the observation lounges, the ambassador looked different now, stronger somehow, more confident. Thank you for speaking on our behalf, said. It was the least I could do, replied. You saved my people. Many delegates want to forget that. They are afraid of us. Yes, but fear can turn to respect. Give them time. Looked out at the stars. Something happened today that the delegates did not realize. A new threat was detected at the edge of the galaxy, something even worse than the swarm. The council has been discussing it in private. Why are you telling me this? Because they will need help, and when they do, I want them to remember what humans did for the turn to face. You said humans protect their friends. Well, you have friends now, many friends. 3 weeks later, received a new assignment. He would command a joint task force combining human ships with vessels from other species. Was promoted to lead Earth's first contact fleet, making peaceful contact with new species. Wu, Sung, and were assigned to train other species in what the galaxy was now calling survival tactics. On the training station, taught alien medical personnel about human biology. We heal fast because our bodies are always fighting, she explained to a class of doctors. Every day on Earth, we face bacteria, viruses, injuries. Our immune systems never rest. You can learn to use some of these techniques for your own medicine. Sung worked with engineers from 6 different species. Humans build things that last, he said, showing them a design for a structure that could survive earthquakes. We have to. Our planet breaks things all the time. These principles can help you build stronger stations, safer ships. Wu trained pilots. Speed and endurance, he told his students. These are human advantages, but you do not need to be human to learn human tactics. You just need to think differently, to take calculated risks. On the Pathfinder, now upgraded with some galactic technology, prepared for a new mission. A distress call had come from the edge of explored space. A colony of mixed species was under attack by the new threat had mentioned. His crew was different now. Along with his human team members, he had the young soldier who had trained with them. There was also an engineer who had volunteered to work with humans, and a crystalline navigator who wanted to learn from. They stood on the bridge together, as read the distress call aloud. Unknown attackers, defenses failing. If anyone can hear this, please help. Looked at his mixed crew. This is what we do. Someone needs help. We answer. Everyone ready. "Ready, Captain," said from communications. "Course plotted," said, their crystalline body glowing with light. "Engines optimal," reported in their floating, musical voice. "Weapons armed," Sung confirmed. "Medical bay prepared," added. Spoke last, their voice stronger than it had been 6 months ago. "Let us show them what a human alliance can do." Smiled, "Woo, take us there." The Pathfinder jumped to hyperspace. In the Galactic Council chambers, delegates watched the departure on their monitors. The delegate who had questioned humans spoke quietly too. "Do you think they can really change the galaxy?" the delegate asked. "They already have," replied. "Before humans, we were resigned to losing. We accepted that some threats could not be stopped, but humans refused to accept defeat. That attitude is spreading. Look at Young. 6 months ago, they were terrified of combat. Now they volunteer for dangerous missions. Because the humans inspired them. Because the humans showed them that impossible things can be done. That is the real power of, not their strength or speed. It is their refusal to give up." The monitor showed the Pathfinder racing through space toward another crisis, another chance to help. "The galaxy learned a lesson," continued. "When you plead for help, be careful what answers. We asked for warriors, we got, and do not just fight. They adopt you. They make you part of their pack. They teach you to be stronger." "Are you saying humans are changing us?" "I am saying humans are showing us what we can be." Looked at the monitor as the Pathfinder disappeared into hyperspace. "They emerged from the darkness of there and brought light to the galaxy. That is their legacy." On the Pathfinder sat in the captain's chair, surrounded by his crew. Humans and aliens working together, protected by humans, inspired by humans, learning from humans. The distress call repeated on the speakers. Another crisis, another chance to help. "How long until we arrive?" asked. 4 hours, Wu replied. "Good, everyone prepare. We do not know what we are going to find, but we know what we are going to do. We are going to help people who need it, because that is what this crew does. That is what humans do, and that is what our friends do when they stand with us." The crew nodded, ready for whatever came next. The galaxy had pleaded for help. They had not known would emerge. But now that humans had revealed themselves, the galaxy would never be the same. Because humans did not just answer the call. They changed the game. They made new friends. They taught new ways. They showed that even the most impossible challenges could be overcome. And somewhere on countless worlds across the galaxy, beings looked up at the stars and thought, maybe we can ask the humans for help. Because when emerge, everything changes.